Namaste, welcome to the Group 1 Guidance Services Guidance Classes telecasted by the TSAT. The TSAT prestigiously conducting the various training classes in all competitive examination. This time for the Group 1 Services examination, they are conducting these classes with expertise people in these fields. So, one of the expertise people, Professor Lakshmi Devi Madam, attended for this classes. So, welcome Madam. So, I am expecting a good conversation and good explanation from your side for our aspirants to write the examination in effective mode.
Sure, Prayal.
So, here we have social inclusion is one of the concept among the 13 concepts in the preliminary examination, and as you know it, this is a vast scope and you have to understand, and there is a lot of possibility for asking logical questions in it to understand. If you understand the concept perfectly, then only you can answer. At the same time, a chronological order also very important, because the government introduced so many programs for the inclusions as inclusive policies. So many committees are already established for doing all these things. So, we are going to discuss and we want to share this information to all our aspirants. So, today's session is rural-urban divide and understanding gender. So, on this, what is rural-urban divide, and later we are going to discuss about our gender, understanding our gender. So, the first one is rural-urban divide. So, how the rural is divided, what base, and urban is divided. These two are divided in what base, what aspects. So, this rural-urban divide, can you share those things?
In fact, usually census commissioners on the basis of various parameters define what is a rural area and which is an urban area. But before going into these parameters, I would like to say a country's development is measured by how much urbanization is there in that particular country. So, the more the urbanization, more industrialization, the less the urbanization, less industrialization. This is the theory which we follow while talking about development of a country. In our country, 68.84% of our population as per 2011 census are living in rural areas. That means most of the people are unskilled, landless agricultural laborers. Hence, their contribution to our gross domestic product is comparatively less. And urban population is a very less than 30%. That means industrialization is still less in our country. That is the reason India is still on the path of development. It has not yet reached the development. So, from the viewpoint of whether the country's development is there or not, this particular rural-urban divide will become a crucial one.
Yeah, here generally common question is how an area classified.
Yeah, I'll come to that only.
As urban and rural India.
Yes.
So, this is a basic question. Generally, they will ask the question.
It is.
Okay.
Usually, we take three aspects into consideration. A student or aspirant is expected to remember this. First and foremost one is, what about the economic pursuits or occupations? If more than 75% of the population are engaged in agriculture and agriculture-based occupations, then that area will be considered as a rural area. Second one is, what about the population? How many people are there? 5,000 and less than 5,000 people are living in a particular area, then that area is considered as a rural area. If more than 5,000 people, then that area will be considered as an urban area. But here, one more classification also, it is better to mention here, that is metropolitan cities or mega cities, like that we are having a variety.
Recently, smart cities also.
Smart cities also have come. Global city concept we have adopted. When the population of a particular area is more than 1 lakh, then we call them as metropolitan city.
More than 1 lakh or more 1 crore?
Yes. No. Metropolitan city these metropolitan cities are subdivided into 6 categories.
Okay.
If more than 1 crore population is there, then that will be considered as a class 1 metropolitan city or mega city.
Okay.
So, in between we are having different categories.
Mm-hmm.
Along with this, one more criterion, it is better to remember, that is, what type of governance we are having. Do we have Panchayat Raj system or Nagarpalika system, municipal corporation or greater municipal corporation? For instance, Hyderabad city is having greater Hyderabad municipal corporation.
Yes, yes.
So, municipal corporation and Panchayat Raj, even this also is one of the criteria. Another one is density of population. All these criteria will be used by the census.
Okay.
And density of population, if it is more than 1000 per square kilometer, then that area will be considered as an urban area. If it is less than that, it is considered as a rural area. But here, these definitions will be varying from one census to another census.
Okay.
Generally speaking, these are the general criteria. The reason is, if a city is a class 1 mega city, the density of population per square kilometer may go up to lakhs of people.
Okay.
So, even that also one has to take into consideration.
Okay. So, here some information from the statistics which are given by our census is, the percentage of population living in rural areas in India as per the census 2011 means 2011 stands nearly at 68.84% rural population, about 83.3 crore people. At the time, it is 83.3 crore people as per 2011 census. So, they are living in rural areas out of 121 crores of Indian people.
Right.
While 37.7 crore people stay in urban areas, means it is approximately, it is 31.16. 31.16% lives in the urban areas and 68.84% lives in rural areas. These two statistics are very, very important. Even the population also very important, means nearly 83.3 out of 121 crores people lives in rural area, 37.7 crore people lives in urban area. This is a very important statistics. So, all the people are, so the criterion to classify the area as a rural area or urban area. So, already you said various criterions to identify classification.
Right.
And the same time, and statistics as per the census also. So, what is the percentage of population is there in the rural area and urban area? Also very important.
Along with that, one more aspect I would like to add.
Okay.
It is not only that how many class 1 cities are there, or how many metropolitan cities are there, how many class 2 cities are there.
Okay.
Even these statistics also are important. The reason is, we have regional disparities on the basis of rural-urban divide.
Okay.
That is the reason it is a part and parcel of social exclusion and inclusion.
Okay.
So, in order to reduce social exclusion on the basis of where people are residing, we usually take up so many schemes in order to develop class 2, class 3, class 4 cities by introducing industries there, or by taking up a variety of activities so that we can develop the infrastructure and other employment opportunities. So, in this context, the number of category of cities also is important.
Okay.
So, even that also one has to remember. An aspirant is expected to remember.
So, once you divide it as urban and rural, the total area of the Indian context is divided into urban and rural area. So, some of the problems in urban area is poor air because pollution, water quality, insufficient water availability, waste disposal problems, and high energy consumption, because when the population density increases, so obviously there is a high energy consumption also.
Will be there, yes.
So, these are the various problems for urban area. So, can you share what are the rural area problems?
Unemployment is there, poverty is there, seasonal unemployment. This is a peculiar type of unemployment, disguised unemployment. Similarly, illiteracy, ignorance, and caste-based problems like casteism on the basis of caste hierarchy and all that. Besides rural to urban migration or migration of unskilled landless laborers coming to the urban area in order to eke out livelihood where they will not be able to get any livelihood. So, these are rural problems. So, in this context, usually an aspirant is expected to know not only the list of problems, but also particularly with reference to inclusion, what are the various schemes or public policies taken up by the state? For instance, livelihoods or food shortage is a problem both in urban as well as rural areas. So, we are having food security policies. Food policy is there. So, as per food policy, as per 2011 census, 600 million people are there, and government has taken the burden to provide at least 2 single square meals for all these 600 millions on the basis of whatever indigenous food they are having as per their culture. So, it is a kind of policy objective which we have taken up. Accordingly, if we link, for instance, rural employment guarantee program or food security laws, various other aspects related to livelihood, so the link an aspirant should be able to understand.
So the problems actually faced in urban area and rural areas. Well, so at the same time, what are the different programs to overcome these problems which are faced by the rural and urban areas? That's very important.
And also measures, say for instance, energy. Use of energy, particularly lot of use of energy is a problem in urban areas. High energy consumption. Sometimes it happens, it may drip. The entire city may become without any power. So, in such a scenario, what type of activities we have taken up? Once upon a time, energy was under mixed economy. Energy was under the purview of the central government or government. But now it is not like that. Privatization of energy sector is done. Alternative energy resources also we are searching, whether it is wind energy or nuclear energy. So, sometimes an examiner would like to test whether an aspirant is aware of not only a problem, but what are the various measures are taken. So, a student is expected to know all this.
Public enterprises, private enterprises, even PPP. Also public-private partnership. This is also possible for establishing various, what you call it as hydro projects for providing. That's a very important thing here. So, what is, when you are going to discuss about different kinds of cities, smart cities, like metropolitan city, cosmopolitan city, we are using, these are the various words. Then what is global city?
In fact, the word global city is linked with financial opportunities. So, of course, it is also termed as smart city and all that. For instance, Hyderabad, we are planning to create it as a global city. When we create a global city, what happens? We will be including all persons so that they can participate in all financial aspects, not only in our country, but all over the world. If we see the definition of global city, we can understand this.
So, I will share one definition about the global city. A global city is also known as power city, world city, alpha city. World center is a city that is a primarily node in the global economic network. The concept comes from the geography and urban studies and from the idea that globalization is created and further in strategic geographical locales according to the hierarchy of their importance of the operations of the global system of finarade. So, so this is a definition of the global city. Just now you shared the global city. So, sometimes students or aspirants, you have to know the definitions also very, very important. they may ask, they won't ask directly what is global city, because it's not a descriptive, it's not a descriptive thing, correct? It's not a descriptive thing. Based on the definition, the question, they prepare the question. So,
yes.
if you understand the definition of the particular term or terminology, then you can answer any kind of question. Sometimes maybe given assertion and reasoning also, based on giving two statements, and they may ask.
Yeah,
they may give match the following. They may give, like, there is a lot of possibility, because it's an objective type question. It is, when it is an objective type question, all these are possible for the examiner, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, now what are the various housing policies in India?
In fact, the right to housing is part and parcel of our right to life, right to shelter.
Yeah.
In order to provide housing for particularly excluded groups, because many people are downtrodden or poor people, they are not able to have any this thing. So, the government has taken up various housing measures or schemes, and certain policies also are prepared by the state in order to provide housing. Let me take a simplest example. Telangana government has taken one measure, that is 2-bedroom houses for poor people or people whose income is less than a particular criterion.
Yeah,
BPL usually, 2-bedroom flats. So, it is a part and parcel of our housing policy.
Okay.
So, housing policy's objective is to provide shelter for all people, whoever are not able to. And how to define this shelter? Let me take once again 2-bedroom policy of Telangana state. 560 square feet should be the plinth area of a particular area, which is considered as necessary for any family to live. There are many people who are living, not even this much plinth area is not there. If you go to some of the cities, sometimes people are pavement dwellers also are there. So, in order to avoid all these problems, the reason is marginality will increase if housing is not there. So, we have taken a variety of, for instance, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana program is there. Awas Yojana is there. Similarly, we had other program also, Indira Gandhi Awas Yojana program also was there. Rajiv Gandhi Awas Yojana program also was there. So, like that, so many yojanas or schemes we are having. So, these are in a
before going to discuss about various schemes introduced, implemented by the government, state government and central government,
yes.
I want to share some information. So, this is very important for our aspirants. The first housing policy in India is formulated in 1988. This is a very important question to all the aspirants. When the first housing policy, when the first housing policy is formulated, that's a very important. That is in 1988.
Yes.
And there is some changes. So, some changes are incorporated in this scheme, and in 1990, so this was renamed, and a new housing policy was introduced. The new national housing policies announced in August 1994. So, this is also very important.
Not only that, the political scenario which led to this change also, sometimes an examiner would like to test it.
Okay.
So, even that also it is better if the aspirant remembers which government was there, who was heading the government and all that.
So, you said the minimum plinth area for house is, you said 500 square feet.
Yes.
So, that's also very important.
Also important.
Very important. So, minimum plinth area for built house.
Built-in area.
That is 500 square. That's very important. And the same time, for their new national housing and habitat policies announced in July 1998 with some landmark initiative like involvement of multi-stakeholders, repeal of urban land ceiling. This Urban Land Ceiling Act also implemented for permitting foreign direct investment in the real estate.
Yes. Previously, we never allowed foreign direct investment in this particular sector, real estate sector. But now we are allowing foreign companies or individuals to purchase lands or enter into real estate sector.
Okay.
This creates so many livelihood opportunities, employment opportunities. Not only that, there is a possibility of vertical structures.
Okay.
Previously, we were not giving more than a particularly when we are talking about urban ceiling area, how many floors there can be.
Okay.
Usually, we used to have only 4 or 5 floors. Now, after allowing foreign direct investment, we are allowing to construct more and more floors or vertical buildings we are allowing. So, here, what is the advantage of allowing vertical building structures?
Okay.
Even this also may be asked.
Okay.
An aspirant is expected to know. Similarly, certain areas, when we talk about urban ceiling, certain areas will be earmarked for greenery or for certain other reasons. For instance, in Hyderabad city, we are having one government order 111, GO-111. Of course, it comes under current affairs, but it is linked with housing policy.
Yes, absolutely.
The area which comes under this 111 GO, there we will not allow any vertical buildings. So, an aspirant is expected to know even these aspects. Similarly, when we go for global city or smart city, etc., we usually go for international airports. So, when we go for international airports, can we have vertical housing there or not? Because in order to provide housing, we usually construct vertical houses. But what type of problems we are going to face? Noise pollution. So, though it may sound, it is not directly linked, but all these are a kind of connected ones. An aspirant is expected to know these aspects also.
Yeah. So, if you want to discuss about the food security in India, so according to the India, there are nearly 195 million undernourished people in India, correct?
Yes, it is correct.
So,
sir.
Which is a quarter of the world's hunger burden. So, this is a very important information. Means nearly 195 million people, undernourished people. So, this is a very important thing, and roughly 43% of children in India are
undernourished.
Yes, this is very important. And people below poverty line in India are decreased to around 22% in 2011 and 12. This is statistics. So, this statistics is very important. In 2011, 12 a year, so the people who are under the poverty line is decreased to up to 22%.
22%.
So, this is a very, very important. As per the 2020 countries, in India ranked 71st among 113 countries in the GFSI. What is GFSI?
Global Food Security Index.
So
human development is a concept which we are using it. Under human development concept, we are having an array of concepts. For instance, we are having gender gap index. Similarly, global hunger index is there. Global food security index is there. Global poverty index is there. So, these indices talk about the country, each country and its position on the basis of certain parameters. Say, for instance, when we talk about food, because we are talking about food security, affordability, quality, quantity of the food, and accessibility of food, and absorption of food. These are the certain parameters which are taken into consideration by global hunger index or global poverty index or global food security index. So, on that basis, each country will be ranked. These statistics are very important for any aspirant, not only that, the definition of these index also.
Yeah, as per 2018 global hunger index, our India ranked at 103.
Right.
But when you consider the global hunger index for 2020, there is a improvement. So, improvement to instead of 103, it is improved to 94th position. So, these numbers is very, very. What is the position of our India as per the global hunger index in 2018? So, in 2018 is 103. As per global hunger index 2020, our India rank is 94. There is some improvement.
Improvement is there, but at the same time, comparison also a student is expected to know.
Okay.
Say for instance, when we compare our country with other developing countries,
Okay.
like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Pakistan or Nepal, so where do we stand?
Yes.
That shows whether we are able to fulfill our duties in order to achieve sustainability index. We are having certain goals.
Okay.
Millennium development goals are there. Similarly, sustainable development goals are there. So whether we are on the path of achieving these goals or not, we can understand. So an aspirant is expected to know whether he is aware of all these things or not.
Yeah. So here generally we are using the word gender, correct?
Right.
What is gender?
Now, gender is something about a categorization of people into male and female persons.
Oh yeah, that's a basic.
That is the basic thing.
Yeah.
But why gender becomes important when we talk about social exclusion is a question here. On two grounds, this concept will become very important. Some people who will not fit into these two categories, male or female, that is a separate group. We are calling them as third gender.
Yeah, yes.
They are excluded. So, in that context, this concept is important.
So, here the biological characteristics are not
also.
Okay.
And here on the basis of biological characteristics, some people are excluded. They are not given any opportunities. Accessibility to certain aspects is not available for them. So, even in that context also, gender becomes very crucial. For instance, let us take some statistical data. Literacy. How many men are literate in our country? How many women are literate in our country? A question may be given in, let us say, some examination.
Yes, yes.
So, this literacy rate shows whether we are having inequalities or not. So, in order to understand inequalities which create exclusion, the concept of gender and understanding it is very important.
Okay. So, here general analysis, when you go on general analysis, takes into account the social and economical differences between women and men, correct?
Right.
So, in each stage of policy development for the purpose of revealing potential different impact of policy program and law on women and men, ensuring equal results for women and men, boys and girls in measure design and implementation.
Right.
Correct? So, that's about the general analysis. Then, what is sexuality?
Here, we will be talking about, when we talk about gender, we will be talking about biological characteristics.
Yes, yes.
But along with that, we do have socio-cultural aspects also, psychological aspects also.
Okay.
When we take all these and subsum them, then we have the concept of sexuality.
Yes.
So, when we see the definition of sexuality, we can understand this concept.
Okay. So, here we are using gay, lesbian, hetero,
LGBT.
that's sexual. So, these how these are going to be classified?
On the basis of what type of characteristics biologically they are having or biologically they are not having.
Okay.
How they are feeling. I have already mentioned sexual.
Yes, yes.
Sexuality is a concept which takes into consideration the psychological, socio-economic aspects also. Though a particular person is having so many masculine characteristics or feminine characteristics, but if they are feeling that they are not masculine or feminine, then their sexuality falls under a spectrum. It is known as gender spectrum.
Okay.
And we are having certain words like gender queer or queen, or already we have mentioned that is LGBT community or third gender, all that.
Okay.
These people usually are excluded.
Okay. Yeah.
We have already mentioned this. Some of the rights also are not given, and health-wise also we have to provide certain policies for them. Sex reassignment therapy and all that. And they are experiencing a kind of discrimination from the police and other persons. So, even this also should be reduced, or particularly it has to be eradicated. So, policies have to be made in this context.
Okay. Anyway, in this session we discussed about this rural and urban divide, how that it divided, what base, what criteria, and what are the different programs is included in this one, and also gender we discussed. Maybe all these points are very useful for our aspirants to write the examination in effective mode. As I hope you understand well, prepare well. So, thank you, madam. Thank you for giving a valuable discussion and information to our aspirants. Thank you.